needs to come to the 7th Ward more often. This is what's going on here. We need economic development. We need stores. Yes, we need USX site, but also we need immediate relief. There is no shopping grocery store in the 7th Ward. Come on, we got to get better, y'all. We got to do something. 79th Street is blighted. And a lot of this, because we allowed it to happen. We allowed it to happen.
Thank you for that answer. For your final question, Pastor Onque, the 7th Ward has an automatic menu budget, and we would like to know how do you plan on using that budget in the future, and would you be amenable to the budget being turned into a participatory budget?
I love that question because I think there's a lot of waste that goes on with discretionary dollars. The very word discretionary causes alarm for me. And I believe that the resources that Alderman has needs to be shared with the people. I just don't understand why I can't drive myself to meetings. Those things just bother me. I really believe that as an alderman, it's just like as a pastor. You know, I walk the neighborhood. I use my own vehicle to get where I have to go. The church doesn't buy my vehicle and all that kind of craziness. I use my own resources to get the job done. And so we need those discretionary funds. And part of that, the community needs to be involved on how they're spent. Because there's some things, little things we can do. The one thing that I'm proud of is that I work with SSA 49, which is the special service area, which has a corridor from 71st on Exchange to 79th, and then it extends on 79th to Paxton to the lake, and then on 75th to Paxton to the lake. And part of the difference that we've been trying to make is to bring the little bit that we can back to the community. That means clean the streets. That means extra security. That's trash can, trash receptacles. Can you believe that we didn't have trash receptacles in our major corridors in our ward? Come on, this is what we're dealing with. We don't have proper signage. It's not inviting. Our businesses are complaining that the residents don't shop at their businesses. Why? Because it's not inviting to shop at your business. I choose to use my dollars how I choose to use them, and I just don't want to feel unsafe. If you got a hoodlum standing in front of your store trying to simply lose cigarettes, that means I don't need to go in there. You know, so it's not inviting. So we have to change the concept of how we think about businesses and how we think about spending our dollars. And part of that, again, is letting these businesses know we don't patronize you if you have games in front of your store. There's other places we can go, but if there's a business that's friendly to us, that means it's inviting to us. They keep their business clean in front, and they're part of the solution and part of the problem. Then we should direct our resources to them to make sure that they're successful and they survive. But I think to answer your question, most definitely the public should play a role in the discretionary dollars that the Aldermanic office has.
Ms. Digby, please tell us about your past community and civic involvement in the 7th Ward and how you would apply that to the Aldermanic office.
Thank you. I would just like to share, in terms of my participation in the 7th Ward, I've had the opportunity to work as a commissioner for the Special Service Area 49. And in working as a commissioner, it has given me an opportunity to see things firsthand from the business perspective. I'm a resident, so I see the crime and I see the loitering from a residential perspective. But in working as a commissioner, now I have an opportunity to see the challenges that our businesses are going through. I see the number of vacancies on our blocks between our businesses. I've talked to the business owners and I've seen and heard their challenges. They're trying to figure out how long they're going to be able to survive. So as working as a commissioner, it just gives me an opportunity not only to see what the challenges the businesses have had, but also to be a vehicle and to bring back to from the community community what their challenges are. If we don't listen to our businesses, if we don't listen to the challenges, how can we actually resolve those challenges?
How do you plan to implement social service needs specific to our ward, like workforce development, homelessness, and homeowner foreclosure prevention needs?
Those are very good questions. I agree with Pastor Onque in that all times we should first of all identify what services are available. Not only should we identify what's available, but we should also identify what's deficient in our area. From that point, once we decide and once we identify the things that are deficient, then we need to work as a team. We need to work with our community leaders. We need to work with the police department. We need to work as a unit. Because if we don't work as a unit, individual efforts are not going to be as successful as if we work as a unit.
The 7th Ward has an aldermanic menu. Would you be amenable to a participatory budget, and how would you use the dollars?
That's definitely an excellent question. I would always be open to a participatory activity. What we have to understand, in the capacity of alderman or any other capacity, individual efforts cannot be as successful as group efforts. So what we have to do is we have to invite in suggestions, invite in opportunities, invite our community to participate. We have to understand some of the challenges that we have now, they were not created yesterday. They can't be answered today, but we have to work as a team. We have to make sure that those that are in our community feel that they're empowered. We have to make sure that you feel as residents and as business owners that what you think and what you feel is important. We have to understand that we cannot answer things by ourselves. You have to have leadership that's going to be participatory. You need an alderman that is actually willing to come out in the community. You want an alderman that when we know the name, it's not just the name, but we know the face. You want an alderman that's going to be available if you come to the office, or even if you call. There are so many things that South Shore can do. There's so many opportunities for South Shore. And we just need to make sure that we embrace each other and that we embrace the aldermanic office. So at all times, I would definitely agree that a participatory budget is definitely a positive thing. Thank you.
If you were selected to be the alderman of the 7th Ward, would you staff your office with 7th Ward residents?
There you go.
For me, that's a no-brainer. I would definitely staff the ward with residents, but I would also make sure that just because you're a resident of the ward, we have to make sure that, one, you're willing to work, that you're here to move the ward forward. Depending on what the needs are, we have to make sure that those that staff the ward are capable. Just because you're a resident, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have the skill set for a particular area. So for me, that's a definite. We should always consider staffing the ward with 7th Ward residents. It's our home. If you have the staffing with 7th Ward residents, you have those there that have a personal stake. So automatically, we're going to be thinking about taking care of home. If you take care of home, you don't have to worry about anyone else taking care of it. So for me, a definite residency. Thank you.
And your last question would be regarding the area policing. The 7th Ward and the 4th District have gone through an unsettling change with crime and violence being perpetrated against community members and in some cases the very police who serve you. How do you plan to address the policing strategies with the police department and work within the boundaries of the staff we already have?
I think that's a very interesting question because not only do we have to consider the staff that already exists, but I think we need to think creatively as well. I do believe that we need to empower our residents, but I also think that we need to work with our community leaders. We need to work with the police department. As the alderman, we need to get boots down. We need to go and visit the communities. Being an alderman is not sitting in the office and taking the phone calls, but it's also going into the community. So as an alderman, I would work directly with the police department. I would talk about strategies. I would also analyze the challenges that we have now. We have certain areas in the ward that we would consider hotspots that are maybe a little more active in other areas. So we want to concentrate on that. We have to understand also that the crime in the ward is not necessarily related to one thing. It's related to a lack of jobs. It's related to the fact that a lot of our residents are not even ready and equipped to accept jobs. So we know that there's also an issue of education. So we have to look at this from a holistic perspective, and not just we go and we continue to lock up people. We have to understand what the challenges are. We have to understand that we cannot change it tomorrow, but that today is the best time for us to start. Thank you.
And speaking of education, we'd also like to know how would you intend to address the needs of the youth in the 7th Ward?
In terms of addressing the needs of the youth in the 7th Ward, we know that not only just the youths, but we know that our older population has a challenge with the lack of education as well. One thing that I would definitely like to see, because so many of our youth have become discouraged and haven't even achieved their high school diploma, I would like to see additional assistance in terms of GED programs. We need to do some mentoring. We need to help them understand that they do have wealth, that their lives do make a difference. A lot of our teenagers now, they just don't see it tomorrow. All they see is what's in front of them today. And we need to empower them, help them understand that they are a valuable commodity in our community. Thank you.
And lastly, how do you propose to accomplish the agenda that you have set in 2 years?
In terms of accomplishing my agenda in 2 years, first of all, I would like to say that I would not consider it my agenda, I would consider it a community agenda. Because my desire is to look at the deficiencies and plug the deficiencies that we're missing. Day one, I would be a full-time alderman. Because I believe that given the situation that our community is in right now, we need a full-time alderman. We don't need someone that's working part-time alderman and working part-time job. I would immediately look at the Lakeside project, and I would look at the opportunity. There are resources there that we can bring back to our community. I would look at continuing to build partnerships, not only within the 7th Ward, but also with other aldermen and our surrounding wards, because we need to work as a unit. Chicago is not just the 7th Ward. And so we need to make sure that we not only utilize the resources in our ward, but we also need to use synergies, and we need to work with the community leaders that are on the boundaries of the 7th Ward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, please. Mr. Brooks, please tell us about your past community and civic involvement in the 7th Ward and how you apply that to the aldermanic office.
I spent 18 years on local school, 10 years on local school council in South Shore. President, vice president, community rep. I worked on Renaissance 2010, bringing 100 new schools to Chicago. We worked on bringing urban prep here. I've coached in this community, track, baseball, football. I worked with the kids, I mentored the kids, I drive a bus in this community. So I would use the experience of talking to the high school students, talking to the seniors that ride with me on a regular basis to bring some changes to the community.
Thank you. Can you share with us what your views are for the Lakeside Expansion Project and how you would collaborate with our neighboring aldermen to bring that project to fruition?
Okay, let's get something straight. If I'm correct, Lakeside just got ruled out of our community. That's the 10th Ward. For people who don't know that. Really, that Lakeside is one thing. What I want to work with is what we have here. That's 5 years, 10 years away. In 5 or 10 years, I could have lost another 2,000 kids. Let's talk about what we're going to do here. What I want to do here in the 7th Ward is start a youth organization. In that youth organization, we will create anywhere from 50 to 100 jobs in a matter of 2-3 years. And that's one by getting them, training them to work on houses. I have senior citizens who have houses that don't have the money
can go over and fix the senior citizen porches at no cost to the senior. Once we start training them, I can take my cigarette man, 2 for $1, that's making about $40, $50 a day, and have him working with through the organization to go fix somebody's fence, fix somebody's porch, work on the roof. Now that removes him off the corner. That's only one person. We get the other youth involved, and once they start seeing their friends doing things, now they're going to follow. We have to learn to be fishermen. And that's the problem in this community I've raised here. When I came here, we had baseball teams. I played with football teams, 100 of us playing on this team. We had 2 teams. We had 50 cheerleaders, 150 kids the police could not touch because they knew we was athletes. What do our kids have now? Nothing. They can't even come over to Rainbow Beach. So until we decide that we're going to reach out here and start our own organization, not wait for the city, not wait for the state, not wait for Obama or anybody, start our own organization. I'm going to throw it here at you. I'm going to ask the community for one thing, to get this organization, become a member of this organization with 27 cents a day.
Okay, Mr. Brooks, we want to stay on topic, so I would like to ask you in your response to that question, we didn't address the issue of Lakeside because you said that Lakeside doesn't exist anymore for the 7th Ward. But in your project that you have planned, how do you plan to garner dollars for that program?
For my organization?
You have an organization. We're
No, I'm talking for the
7th Ward.
Right, we're going to start the youth organization. How are we going to pay for it?
How do you plan to garner dollars for that program?
By asking the members of the ward, the homeowners of the ward, become members of the organization for $27. Then we can use that, 27 cents, 27 cents. And we can use that money to make jobs and do things and help our businesses in our community.
So our next question for you is, how do you plan to implement social services needs specific to our wards, like workforce development, homelessness, and homeowner foreclosure prevention needs?
My homeless will have a job in the organization. We would take our empty homes or our apartment buildings. The organization would fix it, give them a home. At the same time when they're getting home, they're getting training. That's the way we would deal with the homelessness in our community.
So are you saying that that would be a separate organization?
Everything falls, I'm sorry, wait.
Okay. Would that be a separate organization from the automatic office? Because you keep saying your program, so we're just trying to define whether it's a separate organization or are we talking about the automatic?
Okay, that organization would be staffed by the community. The residents of the community would be the ones that staffing it. It's going to come out of the Alderman's office.
Our next question is, the 7th Ward and 4th District have gone through an unsettled change with crime and violence being perpetrated on community members and in some cases the very police who serve here. How do you plan to address policing strategies within the police department and work within the boundaries of the staff we already have?
The first thing, we're going to get the police out of the cars. We need them walking the beats. I need them walking 79th Street. I need them walking 75th Street. Riding through the neighborhood and not meeting no one as you ride past them. Not communicating with none of the business people as you ride past them. Only time we know who the police are is when they jump out their car. I grew up with Troy Yates, cowboy, Two Gun Pete. Some of y'all might know them. Some of y'all might not. But one thing about it, Troy Yates, I can run 2 blocks away and run. Troy Yates will see me and come to my house. 2 gun people and they can see you, they come to your house, knock on your door. None of the police officers that we have are involved with us. So the first thing I'm going to demand is say, I want them out their car. I want them walking and talking to the residents, where the residents know who they are.
Okay, Mr. Brooks, thank you so very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Mr. Maxwell, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Mr. Maxwell, please tell us about your past community and civic involvement in the 7th Ward and how you would apply that to the Aldermand office.
Good question. A lot of my involvement stemmed from going back to when I was a resident of the 5th Ward, and I identified with the talent and the potential of Alderman Leslie Harrison. And during that time, she wanted to mount a campaign to upseat the current alderman, which was Barbara Holt. And one of the things that I identified with very early on was the decline that was beginning to erode the South Shore community. Eventually, when I moved to the 7th Ward, during that time, Alderman Beavers was the alderman, and I wanted to continue in the path of engaging my alderman as I had in the 5th Ward. And I found that a lot of my attempts fell on deaf ears. Shortly after that, his daughter became alderman, and then eventually Alderman Sandy Jackson ran for alderman and succeeded Darcel Beavers. And through interacting with her prior to her becoming alderman, I began to be more thrusted into a lot of the changes that was taking place, here in the 7th Ward, which were negatively impacting our community. And being very confident in Alderman Jackson's vision for the ward, I increased the work that I began to do in the ward. I became a precinct captain. I became the chairman of the 7th Ward Business Advisory Committee, which started with myself and a few other people, and today is 13 or 14 members, and working with businesses within the community. I became one of the original architects of SSA 49, in which some of my fellow candidates, are a part of being the commissioners for that for SSA 49. I was very instrumental in assisting with them with their application process to be appointed as the commissioners, as well as recruiting them to become commissioners. In addition to that, I eventually was appointed a commissioner and eventually became the project manager for the SSA. But many of you all know me, not from titles and different things as relates to community development, but just from working with me on a lot of different occasions and spending time with me, spending time around me, and knowing that I'm someone who is very participative as relates to the further growth and the development of the community. So I think that I would further and continue to engage the community the same way that I have been. I once heard that potential is something that's the total sum within us that is yet to be manifested. And South Shore has a great deal of potential. The 7th Ward has a great deal of potential. And we're a great community, and we are a lot of great continue to build strong relationships and continue to work with each of you as aldermen to continue to further the growth and the development of the community.
Thank you for that answer. Can you share with us what your views are for the Lakeside Expansion Project and how you would collaborate with the Alderman to bring that project to fruition?
Yes, I'm one who's very excited about the Lakeside Development Project. What that speaks to is, again, dealing with the potential as far as growth and development in our community. And it's a very long-range project that some of us, may not even see the total completion in our lifetime, because it's the largest inner-city approved development project in the country, basically. And I'm excited about it because it will bring resources to the 7th Ward. It will bring resources to this entire region. And it's something that we should be on the forefront of in terms of supporting, engaging, and determining exactly how it's going to impact our community as a whole. We cannot sit on the sidelines and say, well, that's someone else's project, or it really has nothing to do with us, because whether it impacts us directly or subsequently, we need to understand what that means, and we need to be able to take advantage of the opportunities. So I've been working with Nasucha Magwa and the entire project team for Lakeside for some years now, and many of our community residents, I have shared tours with you and have engaged a discussion about it. And we, as the BAC, the Business Advisory Committee, we have had meetings there, and we have continued to try to engage the process and to be able to glean as much information as we can so that we can disseminate that information back out to the community, and we be able to work collectively to understand what it's all about and what it really means. I think that there should be a little bit more transparency as it relates to the project. I know that a lot is still going on and it's still under development, but a great deal of our residents aren't really fully aware, fully educated on the plans that are being made, and oftentimes I'm hearing that things have taken place after we've learned about, that we've been informed about it, that decisions have already been made. So I think as a community, it's critical for us to really engage ourselves with that and to embrace it, because change is imminent. We are not going to stop the forces of change and development, but we certainly can be a part of it.
How do you plan or propose to accomplish your platform or agenda in the 2 years?
Well, one of the things that resonated in me is that we have so much, just from